Because you can see a case where maybe a man is married to a woman and their relationship is stressed throughout their time of couplehood, and then the time the man dies or the woman dies and the surviving spouse gets married to another person, you see they have a more blissful marriage than what obtained in the previous relationship. So it means there is also a compatibility factor that accounts for this issue of people living below the perfection line that is expected by their spouses. But honestly speaking, there is nothing like a perfect husband, a perfect wife. People should learn to know how they can accommodate their spouses and function in their couple life in a way that they will be an encouragement to one another. I think one reason for which people get married is to encourage one another for them to become a better version of themselves. And if you get married to somebody and you are only pressing the person's button and screwing the person up so that you can see perfection, you'll just be fighting a lost battle that is, a battle that can never be won. Never.
Apostle Lambe, you heard about my dream wife, my dream husband?
Of course.
Today, do we materialize the dream husbands or dream wives?
I think everybody is born with a desire and a wish. And sometimes that dream husband and dream wife are the persons that meet up the wish or the desire you have in life. Somebody may wish for a wife that is educated, a wife that is having good buttocks, that has projected breasts. That's a dream, because you must dream. We are always advised to dream. But let me begin by saying that let's not even go to perfect husband and perfect wives. Is there a perfect human being? That's what we have to begin with. If there is a perfect human being, then we can deduce from that perfect human beings if there are perfect wives or perfect husbands. In the general analysis, it is absolutely impossible to see a perfect human being. It doesn't exist. So the fact that your husband is a human, your wife is a human, and they fall within the human race, and they are classified as first-class mammals, they are imperfect. So to attach perfection to the word husband, it looks like your husband is an extraterrestrial that came out from the race of human beings. But since it's from the human race, there is no human that is perfect. Secondly, I have a friend who is a lecturer, and his child scored 20 on 20, and he gave the child 18. And I asked him why. He said, no, we can't give you 20 on 20 because nobody is that perfect to score 20 on 20. Even humanity accepts the fact that even where scores are given, people do not merit 20 on 20. That is the reason why we don't put a grade in education as 100 on 100. We can say from 75 to 80 to 85 to 90 to 95, now you can have 100. We can put first class degree, 3.5, 3.6 GPA. So those are the things we put together. You realize that there is no perfection in every field of life, as a matter of fact. So because humans are the center that controls almost everything of life, and since humans are imperfect, that is the reason why what they produce is absolutely imperfect. Now, to come and say that a woman and a man can be perfect, it's absolutely impossible. Reverend Ken established a very solid foundation. We are trying to pass across the information for those who are overbearing on their husband and those who are over expectant of their wives, thinking that they are going to deliver because somebody will say, I least expected you to do this. It's a human being. Yeah. A human being can be the best today and the worst tomorrow. You can expect your wife of being at a top performance in one behavior and totally bad in another behavior. It points out to education. Somebody is excellent in mathematics but zero in English. Somebody is good in literature but very bad in economics. That tells you that we are just strong in the areas of our strength, and we are not strong in every area. The fact that there's an area you are not strong at, automatically your weakness will be projected. It's like today, if you give me certain responsibilities, you won't like me. Everybody hails me, celebrates me, appreciates me, call from here and there because I'm operating within the confines of my strength. If you take me out of the place to your hospital, you will not like me. You will look at me as a very dull person, of which I'm not dull, but I'm operating from the point of my weakness. So if your wife is that person that has strength and weaknesses, you must understand that weakness in her life would definitely not score any point. Those who have excellent results in school are not those who scored excellently in all the subjects. One year somebody has 10 subjects, they may have 5 A's in some subject. That's the area of their strength. Then the other ones, they just patch and manage and then successfully go through. So the idea or the concept of man being perfect before becoming a husband to become perfect is complicated. As a matter of fact, you could be perfect as much as you are alone. Not when you now marry to somebody who finds all your errors. If you were alone, you were not perfect. When you mess the air alone in your room, nobody complained. Is it this time around that somebody will not be able to contain the odor of that mess, or you farted? Somebody will not be able to contain the odor of the fart, and then suddenly the person begins to complain. Some even imperfections in you could not discover. When you get married, they will come out. Your wife will point out some things you did not consider as mistakes. For instance, you could be a man that got up from your bed and never fixed the bed. You didn't see it as a disadvantage. To you, you were okay. You were very fine. Only to get married to a woman, then you realize that you are being pointed to the fact that you are irresponsible for not dressing the bed in the morning. And then you could be a man, you could not cook, and nobody had any problem. Then you got married, your wife say boil rice. She begins to insult you for being unable to boil rice. You now realize that your imperfections are increasing because somebody is even pointing on the imperfection you did not see as imperfection. So there is no such thing as an imperfect husband, sorry, I beg your pardon, as a perfect husband or a perfect wife. So one of the things we have to understand today is that we have to establish this foundation that the person you are getting married to has areas you will not like, or have areas you will not like. And if at all you don't enter this marriage with this conception, you will begin to complain. So sometimes I get amazed to see a man saying that, no, I did not expect a woman of your age. We think that age is perfection. We don't expect a woman of your academic status to behave like that. We don't expect somebody who comes from such a family to behave like that. My friend, even the daughters of pastors can give you what you least expect. Even the pastors who have gone to seminary can give you what you least expect. So once that human nature is in you, it is absolutely impossible to have a perfect man anywhere. As a matter of fact, marriage helps to unveil some imperfections you did not know as a single man.
Okay. Yeah, but where is this notion coming from, where you see a lady who says, my dream man, I must marry this man, I must marry, and we have young guys also who say, I'm gonna marry this kind of girl. Where is it coming from? Can we say it's because of what we observe in movies? Because in the movies, movies are scripted. You are acting, this guy brings breakfast in the morning, and when you are coming, they give you a peck, honey, everything is perfect. Is that where we miss out on these realities that you guys are presenting here?
Yeah, that may just be a subjective channel through which we have some of it, but the core, the center of it all, that is where it revolves, is the egocentric nature of human beings.
Okay.
Because you are expecting from somebody what you cannot give. That's where it all revolves inside you. It may not be that some people look at other people's marriages and envy them. They watch those telenovelas and they envy the way they are
what they are
treated.
living, eh?
Yes, all of those things are acted stuff. There's no real life scenario in all of these things you see. Even there are many people, if you want to even look at the fake lives that people live on social media, people will come and present. At times you see because a couple stitch a uniform and then held themselves in a very romantic manner and snap and post it on Facebook, and you hear comments like, can this be love? And all those are, it is not real love. You
see the way we patch on the treat.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the whole thing is that the human nature is very selfish, and these are things that people have to work out in them in order to overcome this vice we are talking about. Because this thing we are talking about is very serious. So there are many people who are, in fact, they are messing up in relationships, but they are expecting the other spouse, one, to tolerate them, or to do things they themselves cannot do, put in their position. So this whole thing is an issue of nature. If people can work out their natures, we can be more empathetic. We can be such that our human heart still listens to the weaknesses and the challenges that people have. You know, I always look at negative energy that comes from somebody from at least two angles. One, it can come from a weakness, and it can come from wickedness. There are people who just want to do certain things. They just want to do them in order to, to inflict pain on their spouse or on people who are functioning with them. But there are people who you can see they try as much as they can to live beyond a certain challenge, but it's not going, because it's a weakness that they have lived with for a very long time, and they are maybe wanting to see how they can work things out to get better over time. So there are people that when you see them struggling to overcome a certain difficulty in their lives, you have to be more patient with them. You have to at least take the things they're doing with a pinch of salt. Not that you keep accelerating them to the point where they get discouraged and they feel that maybe they are doomed and they cannot get better tomorrow. So human beings, by their very nature, the way they are wired, we are such that we should be able to review our own expectations. When the expectations are too many, they are too large, when our expectations are too unreal or unreasonable towards our spouses, they will end up causing the person to be under pressure and will not deliver. We have to shrink our expectations, and we have to be patient with the people we get married to. There are people who got into a certain relationship. They didn't even know if the full picture of what they were getting engaged into. There are people who got married without knowing that these are the responsibilities that are linked to marriage. So, in the course of it, they will be learning piecemeal. It will not be something that they will learn overnight and then get acquainted. Especially some of these people who have said that premarital counseling is a useless endeavor. There are many people who say so, that is nothing, is useless, and they say so and cite examples of people who got married without premarital counseling as though they are really succeeding in their marriages. So when you see when you see some of these people who are who decided that they will not have an orientation, they will now begin to learn practically on the job. They are already married. That's where they will be learning. They will not be entering the relationships with some hands-on understanding of the responsibilities and the huge duties that await them in the relationship. So with that, now you will see that the people who had some kind of counseling before getting into it, they may now already be fighting to see how they can put into practice what they have learned and not learning everything anew like with those who did not have the orientation. Now, going back to your question, Mr. Leo, what I want to highlight is that comparison and competition are two things. You can compare two things, but you can be competing in an unhealthy manner, in that you look at people whose realities are different from your own. You have people who got married and it is their family that equipped their house for them. It's their family that did everything for them. But you are getting your own married that, in fact, even a cube of savon nobody gave you. You are competing with such a person. You go and look at that kind of marriage and you are like, my marriage has to be, my husband has to treat me the way this other man is treating his wife. You look at a lady who comes from maybe from a hurtful relationship. You don't say that you will be patient with her for her to heal. You are wanting her to be submissive to the same extent. So with that, you are like you've gotten married to somebody that you don't even know, and then you start expecting from the person what the person cannot deliver at a given season in the marriage. Marriage is made up of seasons, and we must understand that we have our peculiarities. Every relationship, even if it is just a slight difference, there are some couples that when you look at them, they resemble some other couples, but every couple life has its peculiarities. The couple from Mr. and Mrs. 4 will not be the same like that of Mr. and Mrs. Egbe. There are differences that will characterize those relationships. And the best you can do for yourself as a couple is that even if you want to draw inspiration, you should not put your spouse under pressure by virtue of what you see in the other person. You look at some people. After they move up, go to Bas Naval, eat the fish they eat there, and come back home, they come and box at night. So you should not put your spouse under pressure because you are not going and eating fish like the other couple. Okay. There are some that you see them after they've held their hands and move up and down like that. At night, you don't even know how difficult it is for them to do. So they're just trying to cover things.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay is going to tell us what she thinks about this topic. Do we have perfect husbands and wives out there in Bamenda or across the Northwest region, Mr. Sanjay?
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to our televiewers. Mr. Leo, this topic today reminds me of a guy I counseled. He's in Dubai, and so he was looking for a wife back at home. But the ladies he kept bringing, their temperaments were not, they were not good enough for him. So he kept asking me, Madam Counselor, is there no temperaments that you can have that at least has very little weaknesses or no weaknesses at all? I told him that. I said, even you yourself, you're not perfect. So you cannot be looking for a perfect human being. We don't have any perfect human being here on earth. The earlier you learn to accept somebody for their strengths and equally for their weaknesses, the better for you. So when we talk about perfect, husbands or perfect wife, there is none. Even as counselors, somebody commented on my post the other day. I posted myself and my husband, and somebody said, oh, this lucky man that has married a counselor, they never quarrel. I said, no, we quarrel one time. So the guy was laughing and said, but how can we be quarreling when? I said, no, even though I'm a counselor, I am a human being. We are all human beings. We are all prone to weaknesses. So if you're looking for Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect to marry, you might wait for your entire life and you might never find any. The highest thing I've always told people is, when you're choosing a life spouse, equally check that negative aspect of them. If you can manage those negative aspects of them, if you can live with them, if you can cope with them, then that is the best of it, because there is nobody that does not have a weakness. There is none. Even pastors, we preach holiness, they still have their own weaknesses. That's why some people get to condemn pastors, maybe from the acts or the mistakes that they make, without also understanding that they are also human beings. Only grace is helping some of us. So there is no perfect human being here on earth. There is no perfect husband or no perfect wife anywhere. If you want to look for a perfect spouse, please just stay single, because there is none. The only thing is, if you want to choose the spouse that their weaknesses is within your power to handle. Now, when I say within your power to handle, sometimes when I counsel a couple and they ask me, okay, from every indication, are we compatible? I will tell them compatibility depends on the two of you. Because there are some things that I cannot accommodate from you, but there are things that you can accommodate from the person you want to get married to. So we all have different capacities, abilities to manage certain weaknesses. So if you want to choose a life spouse, the most important thing is, like I said, don't just check the strengths of that person. Equally be very interested in their weaknesses, so that when you see their weaknesses, you're going to weigh, can I live with this? Can I really manage this? Can we have a successful marriage with this? If you are honest from that perspective, if you choose a life spouse from that perspective, you have very little problems to face in marriage. The reasons why we have a lot of problems in marriage is because people want to get married, or when people are getting married, they are so focused on individual strengths. He's concentrating on her strengths, she's concentrating on his strengths. Nobody has time for the weaknesses. And so when they get married now, those strengths now, they have been seeing them, but they have not really put out efforts on the weaknesses to know what it takes to live with that person. So when those weaknesses begin to show up, it begins to become a scary place to live with or to live in. So choosing a life spouse, for those who are still to choose, we really thank God for this generation, hearing all of these things. There are people that wish they heard what we are saying today, that they will not have made the mistakes that they made. So if you are still in this generation and you are not married yet, choose a life spouse, check their strengths, check their weaknesses. Now when you can begin to ask that, how will you know? Go for counseling. Counseling will help to expose your spouse's strengths and your spouse's weaknesses. And for those who are already married, know that there is no perfect human being anywhere. Learn to live with your husband, learn to live with your wife, based on their strengths, based on their weaknesses. Mr. Leo, I'll be coming back.
Sanji, what I get from her is that if you are seeking to have a perfect husband or wife, you better remain single, because you are not going to find any on this planet Earth. But Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, can we refer to what we are discussing with what our parents lived? Because we said they endured. But today we say, okay, we should tolerate. Is that not exactly what our parents lived in the past?
Yeah, our parents supposedly, as we know, had good marriages. That is what we think. We did not experience those marriages. We did not know some of the things they went through. Yeah, and the society by then, we are talking about two different dispensations, Mr. Leo.
Yes.
There is a shift.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, did they not give a semblance of living perfect marriages because they overlooked the weaknesses in their
partners?
Yes.
Of course. The truth is, the era before now gave the man his place. This era has chopped a little of the man's authority. I keep saying this, people don't get it. The reason we have a fight right now is because the authority the man had at first, a little has been taken from him. Do you know that in those days in America, women were not permitted to vote? Women were not permitted to hold public offices. That was when the man had his full authority. In other words, the man was a man in government and was a man in family. This time around, the man is no longer a man in government. The man is no man anymore in government. And because the man is no man in government, sometimes the man's position in the family is threatened because of the revolution that has taken place in terms of adjustment of laws, international laws that guide family and individuals, and also the place the woman has been given her into the society has threatened the man's position to the extent where some women instead even threaten to wrestle over the man's position. Now we have women who are traditional rulers, something that was far-fetched in those days. We now have women who are presidents, we now have women who are governors, DOs, and the rest, mayors. Those are offices that were reserved for men. Now you realize that this particular level of authority that has been taken from the man has not threatened the man's existence. That's the reason why there is so much fight right now in marriage, because the man is fighting to secure something that has been taken from him. But in the past, a man had his full authority. A man had the right to marry through 3 women. That was his right. A man was a man, the head of the family. A man was a traditional ruler. A man was this. So the women in that era grew with the mindset knowing that the man is a lord. From the days of Abraham, Sarah called Abraham Lord. But today, the wives will call you sweetheart, baby, papa, boy. They will give you those names. You cannot hear that lordship anymore. And they say yes, and they will tell you that I cannot keep on taking this nonsense anymore. The mothers of those days took nonsense because marriage was the only place they could find security. Marriage was the only place they could stay to build a family. Marriage was the only thing that gave them respect and honor in the society in those days. This time around, if a woman is not married, her job can give her honor. Her government office can give her honor. Her political activities can give her honor. Her business and account can give her honor. But in those days, if you were not married, you were not found in the society, you were not recognized as a woman, there was no dignity, there was no level of respect attached to you. But this time around, even if you are not married, man, if you are a parliamentarian, you still have grounds as a woman. If you are not married, if you are a senator, you still have ground as a woman. If you are not married and you are the richest woman in Africa, you are better off than some men who are married. If you are not married and you are a woman that is flying an aircraft as a pilot, you have respect in the society. Now, if marital office does not give you respect, public office will give you respect. So women now know where to gain this respect. If you can't give them the respect in the home because they are not married, you will give them the respect in their offices in town. For instance, if a woman is a commissioner and she's not married, she will use her office in government and lock you up. You will respect her by force. So you realize that a man's authority has been shared to a greater extent. As a matter of fact, men used to have 100% authority. Now it is 55%. Because about 45% have been cut off and given to women. So that's the reason why you look at the marriages of the former era, they look like somehow because the woman could accommodate, the woman could endure, the woman could stay, the woman could absorb any nonsense offered them. Women will get married to 4 wives, and the 4 wives are all working farms of maize, working farms of cassava, do the harvest, and then come back and you sponsor your own child. You are impregnated, you are the one that has to look for a means on how to deliver that child. Not this time around where a woman, if you don't give money for antenatal, is trouble. It has even gotten to the extent, Mr. Liu, that when there is Father's Day, women don't wish us Father's Day. And when it is Mother's Day, if you don't wish that Mother's Day, it's a problem. They tell you that the woman is a receptor, and that's the reason why we have to give them. So the man, the thing is even entering the 50% now, because it's no longer 55-40. Man has lost 50% of his authority in this era, and that's the reason why you discover that there's a level. There's a.
Apostle, don't vex.
I don't call rope. And that's the truth. So that's the reason why it looked like marriages in those days were somehow like perfect in our eyes, because the people were able to absorb anything because the man had his full authority. This time around, the man doesn't have. The woman will bullshit to as long as she can leave and go and pay her house rent and take care of her children.
Apostle, somebody says, Apostle Ambe, please, what does God means when he says, be ye perfect for your Father in heaven? It's perfect, I'm sure. Christian is writing from Douala.
Yeah, when the Bible says, be ye perfect, for your Father is perfect, that's accepting the perfect one, Jesus. When you accept Jesus Christ, the perfect, doesn't mean that you are going to, by your deeds, be perfect. It's like me, I wear a coat of a governor. I become a governor in that suit, not because I am a governor. If a governor gives me command to go and execute an assignment, I'm going in the capacity of a governor. That makes me a governor by appointment, not a governor by merit. So when they say be perfect, I mean when you receive Jesus, perfection has entered into you, not you the man being perfect.
Okay. I hope the
Who is perfect?
I hope the message is clear.
Oh, maybe Reverend Ken has something to add to that. I want to find out. Even the highest of holiness preachers are
because many persons are watching, especially someone unmarried. What, according to you, when they come for counseling, what are they looking out for in the perfect man? Because everybody wants to get a perfect man, a perfect wife.
No, I think as many as we have human beings out there, people have their tastes and desires. Yes, there are people who will want their priority will be somebody who can take good care of them, can be with them, whether there's no money. There are some who say that the chop love. If you are not rich, you cannot be shortlisted for the kind of man or the kind of woman they want to marry. There are people who will put an accent on the physical characteristics. There are some who will want to look at the person's spirituality. There are some who want to look at the academic. In fact, people have their cross-section. So that's why most of the time we always ask them, why do you want to get married? 1, 2, and why do you want to get married to this particular person? Because when the person's argument or the person's criteria are subjective, you now know that this is a slippery relationship. If the lady start talking about, I like his height, I like his, you know that those are subjective factors. But what preserves, as we have said here, time without number, what preserves a relationship is purpose in the first place. And then these love factors of these other things that can at any time slip away from your hands are very, very difficult issues to hang on to, because if your criteria, for example, is that, or your key criterion is that the guy should be rich, there is riches are not a permanent condition for anybody in this life. There is no in fact, Dangote can become poor. I want to say he can become poor. Dangote can become poor. So we should not look at certain factors which can at any time, slip away, and look at them to be the key factors for which we are wanting to get married to somebody. We should be so that if the person does not have that thing we are looking at, you can still have something that is more precious in the person's life than what you desire. Yes, I know that naturally nobody will want to get married to, say, let's say, a poor person. Nobody will want to get married to such a person. But then, that's where I'm driving here, Apostle. Your definition of poverty now will now be in fact the central point of it. Course. Especially some of these people. So I don't want to say ladies or men. There are people who want to get married to ready-made human being. That is a bad mindset. When you want to get married to somebody, desire somebody with whom you can grow together, somebody you can emerge together. That is the factor. Many people who have gotten married or who have desired to marry ready-made people, they've entered into the hands of people who end up taking their lives away. It is this desire to marry ready-made people that have made some people to get married to cultists. At the end of the day, they take you and sacrifice you in their calls, and then they keep blossoming, and you have lost, your family has lost, and your loved ones. So the desire to get married to ready-made people, say, no, he's very settled, and that is your major drive. Your major drive, that the guy is very settled, he has a car, he has constructed a house and all the like. Yes, it is good, but that should not be your principal motive. You must be able to look at somebody as the identity of that person, one, and then two, where the person is going to in life. When you talk with somebody and his life revolves only around here, all he has in his mind is clubbing. All he has in his mind is wanting to upgrade from one mobile phone. He doesn't talk futuristic. Those are very dangerous people to get married to. You have people who don't learn, in fact, who don't want to learn. They don't want to surpass their weaknesses. As we're talking about perfection, Mr. Lo, there is something, I think this is something I must always emphasize. There is an attribute I like in any human being. I like somebody who is ignorant but teachable. If you have all the knowledge and the information in this way and you are not teachable, you are not my kind of person. Because as the days are going by, it will be like if you've said it, it is yes, and nobody can say no to it. And those are the kind of people that you get married to, you will live to cry all the days of your life. Especially women. If you are getting married to somebody who says yes and it is yes and nobody can say no to it, can alter it, not even a mentor in his life, not even a family member that can ask him to sit down and he listens to it, you are going in for a relationship that is going to be painful to you all the days of your life. So at the premarital level, people always have a lot of, criteria they set. But one thing is sure is that it is, I don't know one person whose criteria has been met 100%.
Yes, not possible.
You're always like, okay, I would love to get married to this. And then some people, when they set those criteria like that, and they are not, they reject proposals from people. This one will come and say, no, this is not my kind. This is not my kind. At the time that age is not catching up with you, you say, man to man. You just begin to gather anything and accommodate in your life. So it is always better to make sure that as a young person growing, sit down and set look at the things, set the standards. And the standards should not be based on these trivialities that we have out here. Set standards that have to do with core values of an individual that you can grow with together. If you cannot have these values, and then anybody will come by you and you send away nicer husbands in favor of somebody who will end up becoming a pain or a headache to you and your family. You see, somebody said that if you reject a man who has a vision to marry somebody who has television, you end up watching the man with a vision in your husband's television. That is to say that there are people today that when you look at them, all the physical values and those trivialities, they add up to nothing. Looking at how the person look, in fact, just at the person's outlook now, the person may not be looking like any serious person, any husband material or any wife material. But when you look past the trivialities we're talking about, the physical factors, the financial factors, when you look past them now, you discover that the person has a bright future and you can grow with the person and emerge. I used to say that there are some of us, if before marriage, if they gave you 3 for 25, you will not take. But it took some women who saw beyond the man standing in front of them. It took a woman that saw beyond a man that does not have a car, beyond a man that does not have a huge bank account, beyond a man that does not have a name, a man that is not a celebrity. It took women who saw that and then got into such relationships. It's the same thing too for women. There are some women that are very flamboyant now, but as you get married to them, your downfall begins from the day you have gotten married to them, because as they come in, they are a slave queen. They have entered your life with the mindset of a slave queen. They don't have any contribution to make your home better, to make your life better. So when you get married to such a person, you know that you are doomed. Honestly, you are doomed. So people should learn to be more insightful when it comes to marriage. Please, we are talking to our brothers and sisters who are still trusting God to settle in holy matrimony. Don't be haphazard about this thing. Don't do it just anyhow, because when you do it anyhow, the results will end up being anyhow and you will live in pain. And we have often said that before marriage, you have the choice to back out or not. But when you only get married, there are a lot of entanglements that you will not just walk out the way you like.
Okay. Hello, sir. Love to share my views on the topic presented. Oh, yes, no perfect husband or wife. Remember, we all got our weaknesses. These are from creation, from our ancestors, Adam and Eve. Marriage is all about complementing one another. To keep the relationship is dialogue and tolerance. Jackie Madu, writing from Bamenda. Above all, place Christ at the center of your relationship. I have been in my relationship for 32 years, not a perfect relationship though, but coping in this relationship is all about dialogue and tolerance. Let me tell you, I never sleep with anger. I make sure we sort out our differences before dawn. I have never shared my problem with a third party, not even my mother or my siblings. And above all, I place Christ at the center of our relationship. I tell him all my difficulties and behold, he directs me how to manage my difficulties. Okay, we're talking about our perfect husbands and wives. There are people who out there think that to get a woman that is going to help or actually meet our desires is to go to the church sister. Perfect sisters, wives are there. And some sisters who think that church brothers are perfect, especially praying that they should get married to a man of God. That man of God is going to help us live our dream marriages.
Mr. Leo, that impression was right some years ago, before now.
Okay.
Not now. You know, in those days when we give our life to Christ, you could tell a born again was a born again. Not this time around that a lot of things have been twisted. You find you may be confused to find who is truly a born again. That's why Pierre remember said, and I quote, he said, when you say you are a born again, he asks you, what are you hiding? In other words, born again has become a means people masquerade themselves in the society. It's a cover-up title for evil to be projected. Secondly, the point I want to emphasize here is that even Satan attends church. Yes, the Bible says when the sons of God gathered, the devil was also present. And when Jesus sat on that table to take supper with the apostles, Satan was right there, and he entered into Judas, and Judas supped with Jesus that night, and immediately he left that table. After he left, he went and sold Jesus. So to establish that foundation, Satan also lives in church. Now, the impression that you could find a sister in church who is going to be an ideal wife was an impression that was very successful in the past, before now the church got all these infiltrations. As a matter of fact, you have to take your time without any, how do I put it, emotional imbalance before you chase a girl in the church. Take your time and critically observe her. I told my children last week, I said, the confusion we have in our churches is that we think that those who pray and sweat are spiritual. And because of that, a lot of brothers have gotten married to prayerful sisters, supposedly. And also sisters who look at brothers who pray and shake their head and sweat, they think that that prayer is spiritual. Most of them leave that prayer with sweat and go commit immorality. Most of them leave that prayer with hot sweat and go and commit all kinds of atrocities. Spirituality is far beyond somebody praying and sweating. Spirituality is far beyond somebody jumping in church. Spirituality is far beyond somebody preaching even in church. I got a witness in my spirit when you asked me, they asked that question that why does the Lord ask us to say, be thou perfect at the Lord? I think as you explain it from this angle, there is imputed righteousness and there is imparted righteousness. The Bible says in the book of 2 Corinthians 5:21, it says, he who knew no sin became sin for us, that we may become the righteousness of God. That righteousness is an imputed righteousness. That means we became righteous because of Jesus' righteousness. Now, imparted righteousness, the one that you deliberately live, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not lie. In 1 John 3:7, it says, he that doeth righteousness is righteous. So there is a perfection you are imputed with. Immediately you accept the perfect one and say, he was tempted in every way, yet without sin. So if you receive him into your system, you equally receive that perfection. It's imputed, not something you merit. Abraham believed God and it was imputed for him for righteousness. So when you believe Jesus, you are imputed to be perfect. Now, to clarify or to answer what Mr. Leo just asked, is that many people should, I think, take their time to observe an individual, no matter the church they are coming from. Because the church has been a hiding place that nurses Talibans. The church has been a place where many bad persons go and hide their image. So the deception that you just meet someone in church, the person is righteous, the person has a fear of God, is an error of monumental proportion. That is the reason why it is important and very expedient for you to sit down and study the individual in question, because agents of darkness are in churches. People who have character that have not been touched, they are in churches. There are also Christians in church who give everyone headache. As a matter of fact, the impression we had in those days that perfect persons were in church or good wives were in church is gradually fading away. And that is why we advise everyone. Now, when you go to a church to get married, because I have friends who live in Germany, France, America, Australia, they will tell me that, Pastor, we know that these girls in the world are very terrible, but I know in church you can have very decent and beautiful girls in church. I will tell the brother, as much as you may think we have beautiful and decent girls in church, our advice is to do your personal survey and critical analysis on who you want to get married to. This is because there are girls who are properly cultured in homes that do not go to church, that they can make better wives than those who speak in tongues in church. Speaking in tongues does not evade your bad character. Speaking in tongues does not overshadow your bad attitude. I think a way a child is brought up has a pivotal role to play than what a prayer prayer can do in the church. As much as we believe and trust in prayer, there are girls who are decently brought up that will make better wives than those who are shouting fire, fire, fire in church. So please take your time, whether the person is coming from the church or whether the person is coming from where, consider the fact that you are dealing with an individual. Remove the subject of church out of it. If you put church ahead, you will not be able to find out the true identity of the individual. But if you remove church and say you are dealing with a neutral person, you'll be able to find out the good, the bad, and the ugly of the person. Now, we are not saying that the persons you're going to meet are going to be perfect. We are telling you that the persons you're going to meet, if you can accommodate the weakness they have, because the truth is, I can't throw away my car because the tire is bad. I can't throw my car because part of the engine got a problem. I have to repair it. And there are some things you have to live with. There are things you have to live with. There are some weaknesses you won't be able to cut off from the life of your partner. Now what you have to do, instead of cutting away the relationship, you adapt to the situation. I have said it on this platform repeatedly times in memorial. I have said, and I repeat again, we live here and travel to Europe. The climatic condition does not favor us because we do not have winter here. We don't have autumn. We don't have spring. We have the summer, probably rainy season and dry season. But when you travel there, there is that thick winter. You don't run back to Africa. You adapt to the climatic condition there. That is it. We go there. The kind of dishes we have abroad is not the kind of dishes we have here. Sometimes we get it difficult to eat, but we finally end up adapting to what we see there. So when you get married to a partner, also consider as a change of climatic condition. You should be ready to adapt to the new challenges you find in that relationship. And I can tell you the truth, if you adapt to anything, the thing cannot control you. The reason why you get so worried about the partner is because the disadvantage in the person's life, you have not learned to accommodate it. That's the simple truth. Okay, today I was packing some documents. I kept on the table. My wife knew that I was to take the document and go out. She came and said that you have kept the document and get it in this place. Ras will come and eat it. I didn't say anything because I knew I was coming to pick the documents. So when I picked it, I say, I've grown to understand that I should not answer everything that you speak. So as I picked the document, she started laughing. She started laughing because I've let even though I say, why you make noise? How you let me talk to you? But I've outgrown that thing. So that shouting, why you keep the document? To her, she was doing me a favor because she felt like if I keep the document, the rat will come and carry them. But she knew that dropping that document at that position was just temporal. So when she shouted and said, hey, I didn't say anything, I was just busy doing my things. And then later on, I picked it and said, say man don't grow old for the arguments on this thing them again. So you see, I've adapted. That is becoming fun. It's no longer a problem. That's the reason why we say study the individual you live with, and some things you only learn to adapt after 6, 5, 7 years. The challenge we also have in that people want to get quick results inside the first few years in marriage. I'm talking after 18 years. 18 solid years.
And still working.
I'm still counting.
Okay, let's take a second listen to Mr. Sanji Yvette on this very important topic. So many persons are writing and giving testimonies of being blessed because of what you guys are dishing out. Mr. Sanji, let's take a second listen to you.
Mr. Leo, some time back on my social media platform, Facebook, I actually made a quote for people to choose wisely. Okay, because if you want to choose someone who is an achiever, someone who is focused, determined, the goal-getter, if you want to choose that kind of a spouse, equally be ready to deal with their independent nature because they are good at working alone. Be ready to deal with their stubbornness and their anger issues. If you want to choose someone who is very intelligent, who is creative, can bring you wonderful ideas, yes, but be ready equally to deal with their mood swings. Because intelligent people, they enjoy more of, me time. They have their time that they don't want anybody to come in. They want to be alone by themselves. That's when they are creative. So if you want to choose that kind of someone who is very intelligent, someone who is an adventure, be ready to deal with their mood swings. Be ready to deal with the fact that the teamwork might be a problem to them because they will hardly work with a team. They like being all by themselves. Equally, if you want to choose someone who maybe is very accommodating, does not like problems, loves peace, troubleshooters, peacemakers equally be ready to deal with laziness, because these people can be very lazy. They lack that push factor in them to go achieve things. So these are just some of the things that if you want to choose. Okay, let me talk about another set of people. If you want to choose someone who makes it warm, so someone who makes the environment jovial, happy, you have talkativeness to deal with, even stubbornness equally. So every human being has a strength, every human being has a weakness. That's why I always dwell on, don't focus just on the strengths. Equally, check the weaknesses. You are not checking the weaknesses to judge the person. You are checking the weaknesses to know if they are within your power to live with. There are people that their spouse might cheat and it means nothing to them. They can live with it. And there are people that their spouse can cheat. No. They cannot stand it. They cannot bear it. It eats them up. It drains them. So if you want to look for someone who is faithful, yeah, we have temperament people who are very faithful. I mean, not just faithful in relationships, they can even equally be faithful in business, in everything they do. But you still have the negative part of them to deal with, which is they easily get annoyed. They are easily annoyed. They're also quick to anger. They also have those mood swings. So choose wisely. I'm still saying to singles, choose wisely. And for those who are already married, please, the worst thing you can think of is that you want to leave your present spouse for another spouse out there, for another partner out there. Guess what? Your spouse was like that partner to you when you just met them. That love was still, it was booming, it was hot, it was enjoyable. But now, the reason why you think that love is no longer there is because you are not seeing both the strengths and the weaknesses all together. Even if you get to marry somebody else, the truth is that you will still reach the same stage in your marriage. Marriage has stages, and every marriage will go through those stages. There are stages where, yes, at the very beginning of it, it is always very nice, very warm, you want to enjoy each other's company, you want to be around each other. But it doesn't end there. The most difficult part of marriage is what we call the trial stage. In that trial stage, most people don't even know. Many people separate at that level, they divorce at that level. So they cannot even stand it. Mr. Leo, let me come back in the next, in my last contribution to talk about the different stages of a marriage so that people can understand better.
So many persons have written saying that one says that they were fine with the wife, and the wife just got rich and can no longer change. This other one says that everything was nice, but since that's when they were dating, but since they got married, the wife is something else. In fact, he describes it as stone-hearted. How do we manage these cases where before marriage someone looks so good, in marriage they transform?
Mr. Leo, one of the things in fact, this question, this particular point, this challenge that is our viewer has, is very recurrent in today's society, and it is really very difficult to address it just from this angle, because at times a woman may be behaving like that, paying back the person in his coins. It could be before she became a salary earner, the man did not treat her well, and now she has gotten her own source of revenue, and she thinks it is better she too begin to manifest in her own season of abundance, which is not a good thing. So what I'm trying to bring across is that when couples get to the point where they understand that the revenue coming through the man or the woman is family revenue, it solves many things. This aspect of separate financial management is one of the financial management templates. It works for some couples, but for me, it's really not the best. Most often, if you can agree to see how you manage your finances together, this issue of my salary has now come or his salary, it will solve. It will just, in fact, it will be resolved by default. this situation, for me, if I'm the man, what to do is play your role as the man. If she thinks all that there is to the relationship is money, play your role as the man. Provide what you can provide, function as you can, and then give a blind eye to the money she thinks she can adore today. And when she will discover that money is not not all that there is to life, she will surely come back to the race. Because I used to.
But these messages are not relating to that case here, because the case you are talking about, the guy actually says the lady left here, but the lady left the house already.
Yeah, but such a person will
But these other ones, I think 3 are saying, I've written, that they got married, the wife was good, but after that, she changed completely.
after she started having money now.
No, that's what.
Or after some time.
Yes.
No, the issue is that people changing in the course of relationship, it is still linked to it, because sometimes it is one by virtue of them not managing themselves well, not managing some factors, because there are some key factors that make for marital bliss. For example, I'll go back to financial management. There are some people who may be coming to the relationship, they thought that they would give their all, and then the kind of treatment they have received financially, it makes them to start resenting. It can be the interaction between the man and the in-laws, and the lady's in-laws, that is the man and his family. It could be this kind of man who is mommy's boys, that any decision they want to take in the family, the mother must come to veto the relationship, the decision before it is taken. Over time, the woman discovers that she is in a wrong relationship, and will start backtracking on so many things.
Okay.
It could also be linked to the fact that over time, they did not manage their intimacy, building the intimacy they're supposed to build, and it is falling, it's going out of hand. It could also be linked to the fact that over time the woman has gotten into a kind of company of friends that is deceiving her. There are some friends that they have joined and say, your husband treats you that way, and you accept. If I'm the one, I will not accept this kind of thing. And when a friend speaks to a woman like that, the woman thinks they are giving her good counsel, and she begins to behave contrary to her nature, the way she should have been. Because the Bible even says in the book of 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, it says, be not deceived, even communication corrupt good manners. The kind of people you allow your spouse to begin to flow along with, there's an impact it ends up having on the relationship.
Ne Elizabeth says perfectly set. Nelson Pang watching from Bafmeng Menchum Division, Fungom Subdivision. I really love the program. Kenneth Fombon says Kenneth watching from Yaoundé, brilliant topic. Echu Neville says very educative topic, Mr. Leo. I'm learning something wonderful watching from Manfi. Afuku Zenyang says you're right. So okay. Lee Prince Drake says a powerful one watching from Limbe. Awazi Joycelyn Angui says no one is perfect watching live from Kumba. Munchep Melvi says totally agree. Thanks so much for educating us. Watching from Yaoundé. Franklin Ego says watching from Gikoro. Edmond Kuyo Bansika says very interesting. I'm watching live. Mukpa Shalin says perfectly said. Ngong Brunhilda Maniga says watching from Limbe. Akerengu says actually true that we may find it difficult to see perfect life partners, but everyone has faults. Because some men, like women, have attitudes that others can't take. Okay, Rush Sector say watching from Limbe. Kecha Chalin says true story. Changer Boni says link. Okay, B Demisco says today's topic is very powerful and educative. I know no one is perfect, but we all are trying to understand ourselves. Ngwa Emanuela says watching from Douala and loving the program. Pascaline Mana okay. Mildred saying good evening to you, Binwi Karin, and to you Musi Martha. Now Apostle Ambe, you said some time ago that instead of divorcing or seeking to leave, we should weigh the positive aspects and lean on them better and ask ourselves whether we rather sacrifice a relationship because of some aspects that may not measure up to the good sides that a man presents or a woman brings to the marriage.
Yes, Mr. Liu. It's obvious that even in life, you write exams, you must not score 100 to have an A grade. That's the reason why when you get married to a man, you have to be able to put the relationship on a scale and understand how beneficial, useful, and important the person is in your life. If I told somebody, a woman came to me and began complaining about her husband, I say, can you score your husband on 100? She said 80. I said, you have an A-grade husband, then you are still joking. I'm telling you. She said 80. I said, you mean you came here to score your husband an A-grade and you are blaming him? She said, no, it's just that some little things. I said, my sister, your own is even better. That your husband has the little things. And you are scoring your husband. I asked you to write your husband, to mark your husband's script. It's not like I marked it and then I favored him. I gave you the script to mark the person you call an enemy. If you can score your enemy 80 on 100, I wonder if that husband can score even you sitting here that 80 on 100. Most of the persons who come to complain, if you ask them to score the person that they are complaining about, they will give a pass mark. That is to let you understand that they have seen a greater possibility, greater advantages in the man than the errors that are trying to complain. It is an error for you to think that the person you're going to marry tomorrow will give you everything you yearn for in life. It's an error. Some people used to say, I used to suffer in our house. I got married to this man so that I can take away all my sorrow. You see? And that is the reason when the person comes, no matter how much care you offer them, the little mistake you make, they start thinking of the sorrow in their house. They will want to carry other people's errors and transfer on your head because probably they feel like you are supposed to be that person that will take away every other sorrow that they once established or experienced in their families. That is an error. Please. Marriage is not a place you go to look for solution to your predicament. Marriage is a place you come to profile your own solution to what is existing on ground. The man you are getting married to also is coming from another angle. He too also has his own challenges. And equally, you must be coming with a solution. When you come to offer a solution mentality, your own solution will be offered to you. But when you come as if you are a problem, and the man has all the responsibility or the woman has all the responsibility to solve it, that's where the problem will start. Because almost every single error the man will make, you will want to rate him, classify him, and grade him according to where you are coming from, not knowing that the man has qualities and super qualities more than the people who were maltreating you from where you came from. And this is where the trouble is. So your background has a way of influencing your thought pattern. Where you are coming from also has a way of influencing your mood. So when you come from such a background where they kept lambasting you, stigmatizing you, embarrassing you, and then you happen to fall in somebody's hand that offers you the care, the day the person mistakenly touches one of those areas which offended you in the past, you will now want to attribute the man to the class of persons. Then deep within you, you will know for sure that this man is a good man. You hear somebody tell me that he's a good man. I cannot tell you that my husband is a good man. It's just because, I say, my sister, that it is just because. It's because you got married to somebody who is not 100% perfect. Take that it is just because as part of the necessary evil you got in marriage. Because in life, there are necessary evil in every field. As good as the aircraft is, the necessity or the necessary evil is that when it crashes, you are finished. As good as a car is, the necessary evil is that when you enter it, you have a problem. As good as drugs are, the necessary evil is that you must have side effects of those drugs. So there's something you call necessary evil. And almost everything in nature has a necessary evil. And if you are getting married to a man, you must be ready to accommodate some of his necessary evil. As a matter of fact, Christianity has necessary evils. One of the necessary evils in Christianity is the flesh. The flesh is one thing we do not like, but we cannot do without. They will tell that the works of the flesh is stealing, is killing, is adultery, is fornication, is lasciviousness, is licentiousness, but it is that same flesh that gives you contact the human life. If the flesh is taken away from you, as a matter of fact, Mr. Leo, there is no characteristic of the flesh that is good. Yet you cannot do without it. What is talking to you right now is flesh and blood. If you don't want to go operate in the flesh, die. Because the flesh is what gives you the capacity to have contact with the natural world. So that's a necessary evil. We don't like it. We don't like its characteristics. We don't like its display. Then we cannot do without it. What is writing now is flesh. What is going to read these messages to the audience to hear is flesh. What is passing information is flesh. But you see in this same flesh, Galatians 5:21 says, in the works of the flesh, Reverend Ken begin to name them, the works of this flesh that they fabricated us with. It's just like you are blaming the glass for breaking. That's the material they used to make the glass. You blame clay for breaking. That's the material they fabricated the clay with. So when the clay break, because it is called breakable, it is called breakable. So when they say you are fabricated with the flesh, those are the characteristics in the flesh. That's why you see, you can't kill the flesh. You can only subjugate the activities of the flesh. Yeah. But now you see, on the other hand, what plays football is the flesh. What is cooking food you eat in the kitchen is the flesh. What writes that concours that gave you that PhD? What writes the exam that gave you the PhD is the flesh. What you use to trek to reach here is the flesh. The car you drove inside is your hand, that car is the flesh. So the flesh is a necessary evil. It's the same thing when you get married to a man, you must be ready to accommodate some of his necessary evil. We call them necessary because they are evil you cannot avoid. Those are inherent abilities in the human nature. Sometimes it's anger. Sometimes it is pride. The only thing is if you are able to accommodate that attribute in him, then stay with him. Because if you are looking for some perfect person, you're going to be in trouble. I met a girl that was counseling. She said she left the man because the man was cheating her. The man she's with right now has impregnated 3 girls with her own pregnancy in the house. So she ran away from fry pan and jumped into fire. You may be running away from you may be running away from I saw a documentary on not Joe Wild. There is this tiger that was pursuing this how do they call these bulls? These bulls, is it this bullock that have this horn like that? Buffalo. The thing ran away from the tiger only to enter into a river and met the crocodile. The crocodile caught the bull and devoured it to pieces, running from tiger. So most women run away from men with bad attitude and go to men with more greater bad attitude or worse attitude. So this is what the challenge is. That's the reason why they say it is better to live with the devil you know than to be looking for an angel you do not know. All this jumping left and right. As a matter of fact, I have lived this at this age to some extent that I'm already used to some errors. An error you are used to does not become painful anymore, because you envisage what can come out from this reaction. You already know about it. Yes, that's the reason why people get better when they grow older.
Okay,
I just want to, because some of our viewers may not get what Apostle is saying in very clear terms. Now, when a man asks a woman's hand in marriage, he intends that if the woman accepts, he will be called a husband.
Of course.
When a woman accepts a proposal from a man, it's so that she can be called a wife. Nobody gets married so he can remain a babysitter for life.
Of course.
It is not also a license for people to remain children so that they can be babysitted by their spouses all the days of their lives. People should also grow.
Of course not.
Because if you give birth to a child, year one, there are Apostle, when your baby was 7 months, if the baby bed wet, would there be any challenge? It's normal for the baby to pee on the bed. But now when the baby has become mature to the way where she is 4, 5 years, if the baby pees on the bed, you whip the baby.
Of course.
It's the same thing that when people get married, they are not supposed to remain so that they can babysit them, or they know it's my weakness. No. Learn how to grow out of the challenges that have kept you.
You say Apostle talk yesterday. Say my weakness.
Honestly speaking, there are some people that are actually bizarre. They say it is my weakness. No. It should be your weakness, but that you are working to become better. It's true that you see, the Englishman says perfection is an asymptote. When it means perfection is something you look for it, but you will not get there. But you keep looking for it. You keep searching. You are pursuing it every day of your life. So if you get married to somebody and the person is saying this is the challenge in your life, at least you should also be making efforts to close that gap now. The gap between the person's expectation and your performance should not be wide and continue being wide every day.
Of course.
You try to bridge that gap by being better and getting better in at least 2 dimensions. 1, character dimension, and 2, competence. You cannot be such that you got married to somebody, you have not learned some skills, maybe like a woman, you didn't know how to cook well, and you know that this is something that is a problem to your marriage, and you're not going to learn the culinary skills wherever you can learn them and become better in your relationship.
Of course.
You cannot also be such that they tell you are some, in fact you know, even though nobody tells you, know that you have anger issues, and you not try to learn self-control and get better, that it is a weakness, and then you have accommodated it and you have made it now to be a part and parcel of your life, and you are seated on it like somebody who is sitting on the throne, and that is my weakness. Come on, it's not fair. So
there are also things that are very spiritual.
They're spiritual.
Yes, there are
in their nature.
Very spiritual that you may not use discipline to come out of them.
Very true.
Very spiritual. That sometimes people are wrestling with some battles that you need intervention from a spiritual authority. people are having serious challenges spiritually, and
Very
that's one
true.
aspect in marriage we don't mention.
Okay,
very
let me
We
serious.
want to socialize everything. Oh.
There was a case I remember on Sunday, just this Sunday, that it was a case where, in fact, in that line, they have challenges with women. So the lady surely got married to a man and does not really know that this is something. At that level, the lady will be looking only at the man. He's a cheat. They don't know that maybe the man, after he does it,
yes.
there is a pain inside of him after he has done it.
Course.
So when there are some person that needs spiritual attention, they should be pursued in that direction.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Following a very important topic, and I will ask some questions. Perfect answers, Apostle Ambe. Question: what do men really want from women? But why do some men afraid of women who grow up? Okay, yes, women will get money. That's what you mean. This one says, wow, this is a powerful one. Thanks so much for the insights. Evans is writing from Bomenda. This knowledge my teacher could not teach me in the classroom, and I am getting it now for free. I thank you all so much for the wise words. Mr. Evan, please, that number has mobile money, so you can still pay. All of those who are watching, you can still bless using the numbers on your screen, because you say you paid now, you did not get it. Now you can still do something. Mr. Leo, good evening to you and your crew. I love your programs, but it's the one of today should be the best. And my husband, I and my husband, we are seriously watching. Irene is watching from Mutengene. Thank you, Irene. Glad to read from you. I don't know whether it's the Irene that I know. Good evening, men of honor. Thank you for educating the world. Please, if you are married to a man who is naturally a giver, gives to his family, friends, and helps the needy, doesn't save anything for the family, he is building with you. Should you, as a wife, still give him the little you earn in the name of transparency? Elsie is watching from Yaoundé. Elsie, I don't know. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and my appraisers to the panelists for their brilliant educative contribution. To me, a perfect man or woman is that who can adapt or accommodate the weaknesses of the other. Coulomb Maxwell writing from Boya. Stop calling. Just send text messages. We will read them out. Wow, that's a powerful one. Thanks so much for the insight. Okay. Kong Maniac Suzanne watching from Garwabulai. So interesting. Greetings to all and sundry. I'm Frederick Samalia watching from Yaoundé. I must upload Apostle. I'm learning a lot from your program. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm Oscaline watching from Bamenda. It's always a pleasure for me listening to Prime. Kudos to you all. This program is very educative. Good evening from Yaoundé. My name is Henry. It seems this program is very interesting. I'm learning a lot from this program. Thank you all in my media prime. This one says, greetings, you speak the truth, but how can you, person is your life partner? Okay, I don't know. Blessing is watching from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks very much for the program. I'm watching from Tinta Village. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm Favor watching from Kake Kumba. The program is very interesting. There is no perfect wife or husband. Mr. Leo, please help me ask Apostle Ambe that how do you deal with a man who is never wrong? He's the Alpha and Omega of the house. He knows everything. In fact, your opinion doesn't count. He takes all decisions by himself, but is good in other aspects. How do you handle this kind of a man? Because it's painful. Amin Williams is my name. I'm writing from Mutengene. Evening, I really love all your programs. Thanks for such a program, especially this program that is going on now. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Co. Hannah from Limbe. There's no perfect man on earth. They are all polygamous in nature. They will show you all love, but yet keeps a lady or even more outside. My friend is presently facing this issue now. I love your program, but this one today is the best. It's good to date and be close for at least 1 year before marriage if we want to be able to handle our partner's weakness. Gerard is writing from Bonaberry. Let's take the last intervention from Mrs. Sanji Yvette, who is going to take us through stages in marriage.
Okay, so we have various stages in marriage. We have, you can say, the honeymoon stage, which is when you just get married to your spouse and everything is sweet. Okay, then after all of this honeymoon, when the love hormones is secreted in you and you're feeling loved, you want to be with each other, when all of this period passes, that love hormones in you begins to go down. Then reality begins to come clearly. And that's where we call the reality stage. You begin to be aware of certain things of your spouse that you don't like. But at the very first part of the marriage, which is the honeymoon, many people always overlook those weaknesses. Why? Because those love hormones are at play. Now, when those love hormones begins to go down, reality begins to come check in. At this moment now, you begin to realize that this person you're married to, the person snores. This person you're married to, the person is stubborn. This person you're married to, the person has serious anger issues. This person you're married to, this person, they have mood swings. That's the reality part of it. Things begin, things start being difficult. You start being like, messed up, or you feel like you made a mistake. Was he the right person I was supposed to marry? Was she the right person I was supposed to marry? These questions begin to come up at the reality stage. Why? Because a lot of realities are now, that love hormones has gone down and your eyes are now widely open and you can now see and judge clearly. The reality stage comes and passes. Then the real stage, which is the trial stage. The trial stage is where couples now concentrate on each other's weaknesses. You begin to condemn each other. You begin to judge each other. You see nothing good in each other. No, everything about marriage becomes quarrel from one quarrel to the other, from one conflict to the other. It's like you are the worst person I've ever known. Some people even call their spouses demons. I had a couple like that in my office. The wife said, "This one has Satan. You one has Satan himself." Say, "But you are a demon." Say, "You are Satan." This is where demons and Satan's real behavior begins to show. At this stage, no, many people feel that there is no way forward because they have left that good side of each other and they are focused on the negative aspects of them. They have become so judgmental. When you begin to judge, you can barely appreciate. Appreciation and judgment does not go together. So you see that now couples judge each other, they condemn each other. "Hey, you are this. I did not know that this is how you were. I cannot marry. I don't even know how I got here with you." This trial stage looks like that is the end. But couples who walk through it gets to the next stage, which is more of reconciliation stage. They now accept that truly you are just you and I'm just me, we cannot change each other. Let me just learn to live with you. It's not like you're completely bad. It's not like I'm completely bad. I have my weaknesses, you have your own. And so the earlier we just learn to live with each other, that way the better for us. These are people that have understood that we are all created differently. Because differences is not a problem in a marriage. Rather, people begin to attack those differences instead of appreciating them. Just imagine your spouse doing what you are not good at. It is a plus for the marriage. And just imagine you doing what your spouse is not good at. It's a plus. So differences is not a problem in marriage. I rather look at it like similarities. If you marry someone who is exactly like you might have more problems than marrying someone who is different from you. Okay, now let me go back. The couples that don't make it through this trial stage or this test stage, they divorce. They know that, no, this man is unbearable to live with. This woman is a no. Those people divorce at that stage. But the people that pass that stage are those that are courageous. They are ready to accept each other for their strengths, for their weaknesses, and to live with each other. Then this stage now goes now to the best part of marriage, where you see that these couples go back to like the honeymoon part. The marriage becomes new. They now live with each other knowing that, oh, this is my wife, this is my husband. I love you even for who you are. The fact that you're different from me does not make you an enemy to me. So I wish couples could understand this. Unfortunately, when most people are at the trial stage, they start admiring someone out there that will start with them at the honeymoon stage. But they forget that they will still come back to the same trial stage. So I want to say that, Mr. Leo, there's no perfect human being out there. For those who are married, please live with your devil and your Satan. Or live with your demon and your Satan. Love them. That's your own. Somebody said it's your own cross, just carry. But it's not a matter of carrying. If you know how to live with them happily, without judging, but being more appreciative of their strengths, rather than concentrating on their weaknesses, I'm sure you're going to have the best of marriage. Thank you so much. Please follow me on social media, Facebook, Counselor Mrs. Asanji Yvette. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo.
Thank you very much, Ms. Asanji Yvette. I'm going to be following up your page, Counselor Mrs. Asanji. I will be getting those tips here. Now, let's look at real life situations where you are a very beautiful, educated lady. The handicap with your husband is he's not educated, and you always feel embarrassed when the way he expresses himself around. Or vice versa, you have a very educated husband who has a wife who cannot speak English very well, and also embarrasses a husband to some extent. How do we make up for these lapses?
Well, this has to do with trying to figure out whether this is a subsequent event after the marriage or it was before the marriage. Yeah, because at times it's good to also consider, considering marital compatibility along the lines of academic compatibility too, because a first school holder will not get married to a PhD holder, and things will just be like that. Now, there are people who get married and are engaged in personal development. They got married maybe as a first school holder, and then they think it's good to go to school. Maybe they did evening school 3 years and wrote their O level, did another 1 or 2 years, had their advanced level, went to the university, and began to evolve like that. While there are other cases where maybe love blinded them at the initial stage, and they did not see the illiteracy in the man or the woman they were getting married to. Well, in either cases, what is supposed to be done is that people should have the understanding in marriage, the two have to grow together. Make sure you hold your spouse's hand so that both of you grow together. If it's academically, I think there is nobody too old to go to school. There is nobody too old even to be taught in the house. You can, I know, I don't want to call names, but I know of a parliamentarian whose testimony was that his wife is one who taught him until he finally evolved and became a parliamentarian, until he ended up, before his demise, having a doctorate degree. That's what I learned. So this issue of looking at minimizing or denigrating your spouse because the person is not as academically buoyant as you are, is not a good thing. It's already happened. It should not be a situation where you take it as an embarrassment. Two of you should work it out together, and that holds true for all other challenges that are experienced within marital relationships. For example, if your spouse is not sexually performant the way they ought to be, it is not something that you look at it as if it is his or her challenge. Two of you should put hands on deck and handle it. If it is for academic disparities, two of you should also put your hands on deck and handle it. If it has to do with maybe a health situation, don't look at it as if it is the person's cross to carry while you are flourishing and going. The person should be languishing in the predicament that they find themselves in. Two of you should put your hands on deck, and when two of you are handling it, it's lighter. There are sometimes that the psychological trauma that the person goes through by the fact that they look at you and maybe your wife insults you to your face that you are an illiterate. Just the psychological effect it has on a man, if the person does not really gather himself very well, can make him to really start feeling less of a man that can touch other aspects of his life, even reaching to sexuality and other aspects. So the encouragement that we always give couples is when there are situations, people should work together and see how you can do. Then while your spouse is encouraging you to measure up or to live up, to up your game in order to become better, you too should not be withdrawing, say, well, I'm going to school for what, or all of these things is for what. Looking at this as if it's a challenge. It's not a challenge. Now, Mr. Leo, let me just bring this. I was asking him the other day that, do you know, for example, there is this thing they call halitosis. Some people have a smelly mouth. Do you know that some people, if their spouse tell them you have a smelly mouth, they will take it, they will make a problem out of it. Now, who is that person that can really should tell you that kind of thing? There are some things that we should be able to accommodate from your spouse and not look at it as a challenge. If your spouse is telling you your academic performance or your the way you speak, that is the highest person that should be your evaluator. All other people will be looking at you. They may at times people will look. They may not even laugh at you there. They'll go and laugh at you behind. And look at just here. The wife speaks so nicely, but hear the way the man speaks. And then your wife now comes and say, "Okay, let's work things out this way so that you can become better in this direction," and you take it for a problem. So this is something we must be able to work out in our marital relationships. People should avoid this issue of looking at some things that your spouse is telling you as an embarrassment. It is better you have, and in fact, you embarrass yourselves in the house and be. And outside there, you are not an embarrassment, rather than saying that you want to, avoid addressing some things because it will be an embarrassment between you and your wife. I don't know. I don't really see why a couple should be talking about embarrassment when it comes to handling some things like this issue of academic disparities. Yeah, and then there are some of these people who will they will not even want to know that, okay, this is the strength that my wife has. Let me allow her to manifest whenever our couple is called upon to manifest in that direction. Yeah, it is not a challenge. If this, like Apostle says something that when people are functioning from the standpoint of their strength, they are effective. But when you want to start functioning from an area that is not the area of your strength, you will mess up big time. So if you think that your wife has this strength, or your husband has this strength, and there is need for you as a couple to address, you can lead the other person to take the lead. It can be in terms of negotiation. There are some people who don't know how to negotiate. If I don't know how to negotiate and my wife knows how to negotiate, if we have to buy a piece of land or we have to buy a car or something, there is no harm in me allowing my wife to negotiate. There is no harm for me allowing her to be the one to have the front line in negotiating it. But some men look at it like, okay, I must be the man. That's not how marital relationships are really supposed to be lived.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, how do we manage this situation? The husband is up there, the wife is lagging here, or the wife is up there, the husband is lagging. How do we strike the balance so that the two can pull through together?
That is the easiest problem to solve in any marriage. As a matter of fact, you have no right to condemn anybody once you know you have an area that people can condemn. I normally make this as a clown. I say this as a clown in church. Only a woman who is pregnant tells the public that she has had sex. But there are so many who have had sex, but there's no evidence. Number two, a woman who got pregnant out of wedlock is holier than the who aborted a child out of wedlock, because she's been faithful enough to carry her shame in public and technically confess her sins by virtue of the pregnancy. You aborted yours and appear to be holy publicly in the eyes of everyone. You are the worst enemy, because you are suffering from two crimes. Why she's suffering from a single crime of adultery or fornication, you are suffering from murder as well as fornication and adultery. But you see how funny this world is. We always judge men based on looks. I have seen women being insulted in churches because they became pregnant. And inclusive, the ones who insulted them are the ones also who have aborted. So the ones who have aborted appear holier, and the one who is carrying the pregnancy appears a sinner. When you live with somebody, you may have weaknesses that are not public, and the person may have a weakness that is public. Because most people will want to disgrace their partner when they have a public weakness, and they have a private weakness. As a matter of fact, the man who is abusing you for committing adultery the person has unforgiveness. And that person's sin is your strength, while your sin is a person's strength. We fail to understand that the people we insult and condemn in certain weaknesses is because we are strong in that area. The moment they will come to our area of weakness, we will become sinners too. Those who insult those who are fornicators in church, most of them have anger. So because they are not fornicators, they feel like they have the right to judge those who are committing fornication. And that is exactly how some women are and how some men are. A woman be leaving you in the house, or a man be living with you in the house. The man has a weakness of anger. You have a weakness of unforgiveness. Because the man's weakness is public. Because anger will definitely produce results with either spanks or kicks. Everyone will want to condemn that man because the man's anger is public. While your unforgiveness is internal, nobody sees it. And your unforgiveness could be the reason why the man's anger is provoked. So I want us to understand that whether your weakness is public or it is private, you must equally understand that you have a weakness. And because of that, you will treat a lot of people with caution, knowing fully whether you can be trapped. Paul puts it this way: anyone that thinks he stands, let him take it, lest he falls. Because if anybody be taken by a sin, let those who are spiritual restore such a person with meekness, knowing fully whether they also can be trapped. You may not be trapped in the same iniquity of the man. You could be trapped in the area of your own weakness. The moment you realize that there are things about you do not admire, it's a sign that that's a weakness. Even if it's not public, because one of the things I've learned in life is that those whose weaknesses are public weaknesses, they suffer even condemnation from those whose weaknesses are private weaknesses. For instance, a woman may know that you are a cheat. Probably you are an adulterer. She will condemn you. Meanwhile, in that home, the woman is an unforgiver. The woman is somebody who is very lazy and does not contribute anything. But the person whose sin is public is the one that they will sing. And that is the reason why you look in our society today, people are being judged based on their outward presentation. So somebody who has a weakness that is never seen, they will never know. I know of an American serial killer who killed in cold blood, but nobody could ever tell he was a killer. Before, by the time they arrested him, he had killed at least 32 persons. That thing came on him like a spirit, and he would just walk into somewhere and eliminate somebody. Now, looking at such a person, very innocent in the street, he seemed to be a holy person. He did not drink, he did not smoke, he didn't chase women, he didn't look like a womanizer. But there is somebody who is in the street drinking. Another person is there chasing women. All of us, we gather, including the serial killer, and tell the man who drinks, you are a demon. The man who smokes, you are a demon. Not knowing that the man who is smoking and drinking, if we want to classify sin, because his own is public, we blame him, and then celebrate the man who is carrying serial killing in the closet, which is more dangerous than just smoking and drinking. If we understand that everyone's weakness may not be the same, because from what I have gathered, most men, their weaknesses are public. Women don't smoke. It's rare to find them. Women don't drink. Women don't chase men publicly. A woman can be cheating and nobody knows. But if a man cheats, it's easier for people to know. When they come to judge, they will easily judge the man because the man's sin has been made public. But the woman may be sinning and nobody knows about it. And the woman who also sin will join the population to judge the man whose sin has come to the public. It will shock you that the people gathered to stone the woman in John chapter 8 that she was an adulterer. Amongst them were also adulterers. So it is very important for us to treat people with a lot of caution, knowing fully well that area that a man is weak, you could be strong in. You know, I used to make a statement on Facebook. I said, people select the areas to judge sin. They judge sin in the area that they are strong. You will see somebody say, hey, adulterers. That pastor who is insulting pastors who commit adultery or sin is a pastor who collects money terribly. He could be somebody who is worshiping the god of Mammon. He has been consumed. So as much as we know we have weaknesses or disadvantages in our lives, let us be walking towards perfection and be humble enough to acknowledge that that area also that we have disadvantage, somebody could be having a disadvantage in another area. And if you understand this, it will be difficult for you both. Difficult for you both to ever have any problem. This over perfection mentality is what kills a lot of people in marriages. Somebody believes, check me, I don't do it. Check me, I don't do it. Check my life. I never go cheat for outside to any woman, with any man picking. I never go cheat for outside. They never see me, I go do this, I don't do that. But you, that other time you cheat. You, that other time you do this. So you realize that they are trying to judge the two of you based from the angle of your own weakness. But now they are not judging the two of you based from the angle of their own weakness.
From what they're hiding.
Yes, that's it. So that's what the problem is. Whether your sin is public or it is private, understand that you are a sinner. Because they are coming to collect sinners. They won't collect the ones who have public sin. They will collect even the private sinners. So the fact that you have a disadvantage will humble you enough to understand that no man nowhere, as we normally say in Pidgin, no man in nowhere.
No better.
All of us are walking towards perfection, and all of us are fighting to get better. By so doing, you will treat people with humility.
Yeah, but Apostle, you did not answer the question as to whether you men of God, are you better? Some persons may think that, okay, if I get married to Reverend Ken or Apostle Ambi, I'm in heaven.
No. Listen. Mr. Lou, a man of God has come to the consciousness of a certain truth.
Okay.
And it will be difficult for him to just neglect that truth like somebody who is not aware. That's the advantage. You are dealing with somebody who is conscious of evil. But there are people who are not conscious of evil. Somebody will commit adultery and still beat you. Somebody will cheat and still hold you in that and beat you because he's not even conscious of the fact that what he's doing is wrong. Now, a man of God, first of all, is already conscious that cheating is wrong. In case he finds himself in it, that remorsefulness will be there. And there will be that humility to acknowledge that this is a disadvantage. Please help me. But to somebody who is not even aware that that thing is, because there are men who don't believe cheating is a sin. They will not believe cheating is a sin. As a matter of fact, they will do it and even come right to their matrimonial bed. And people want you to say, hey, go and sit. I've seen a lot of situations like that. A man will get the wife well beaten for disturbing him with his side chick. So, men of God are not perfect, but they are conscious of evil and conscious of good. And every man of God that is in an error definitely has a secret place crying to get better out of that error, because they know that the consequence of the error is not even against the woman. It's not against the woman. You're not sinning against a woman if you commit adultery. You are sinning against God. So your battle is between you and God. So that consciousness and the fear of God is what pushes you now to fight against that, not even because of the woman. The woman now becomes a beneficiary of your fear of God. That's why the Bible says a woman that fears the Lord, not the one that fears the husband, is to be praised. Which means the fear of the woman towards the Lord gives the husband an advantage. Yes, they say beauty is deceitful, charm is passing. That the woman that fears the Lord is to be praised. Why would a woman be fear the Lord? Why will a woman fear the Lord and they classify her as a good woman? The woman should be afraid of her husband, not the Lord. But any woman that fears God automatically will respect and fear the husband. And that's the reason why when you get married to a man of God, there is that fear of God first. And since the man has that fear of God, it's an advantage to you, the woman. So it doesn't mean that getting married to a man of God, you are free from problems, but they are conscious of evil.
Okay, they're conscious from evil. Now, so many persons are talking about imperfections. We want a perfect wife for our child. We want a perfect husband for our child. We have always the families trying to judge, size up what the woman is doing, also grading the husband. We have always this tussle amongst in-laws from this side and from this other side, saying that the way we will picking grow, no be so. Now this woman don't do it, so the way we train will get picking. Now that man don't treat it. There is always this family pressure that is also wanting either a perfect man for the child or the perfect husband for the child.
Mr. Leo, what you are saying is a very serious issue, because most of the marriages we see out here at times, they run into issues because in-laws come in not to help them grow, but to, be biased in favor of their daughter or their son. And I think that if in-laws enter a relationship and want to help both of them to grow, they can do it and consider both the girl as their daughter if it is the man's family, and the man as their son. If they consider this as their children and help both of them, it will be better. Not to the point where a woman marries a man and then they are persecuting the man, the lady that before she got married to their son, the son was not. It's true there are some people who have a bad influence over certain men, but the honest truth now is that when people get married, there are supposed to be some changes. Your son gets married and must not continue to interact with you the way he used to interact before getting married. At that time, he had all the time to spend with you. At that time, he had all the funds to spend on you. But now, he is about to build his own family, and he and his wife are supposed to build their own patrimony. You don't expect that after he gets married, things should be business as usual. No, I don't agree with that. So people should understand that in-laws, when you want to put your mouth into the family issues of somebody, you want to speak, make sure your intentions are good enough to be able to build both of them to grow together and build their own family. Some of them even enter to speak about issues in the family, in the marriage of their son or their daughter, of which they are failures when it comes to marriage. They are marital dwarfs, and they have a counsel to come and give a boy or a girl who has gotten married to his wife or his husband, so that they can also fail in their own relationship like their own. So people should be very careful. I want to say that there are two concepts which have a very serious bearing or a serious consequence on this issue we're talking about, which has to do with repentance and forgiveness. All of these things we're talking about, they resolve around it. But when a human being feels that they are being cheated, when I say cheated, I'm not talking about marital unfaithfulness necessarily. When somebody thinks that he is putting in his best in a relationship and all they are receiving in return is not the best from the other person's own standpoint, there is going to be a resentment that will be built in that person towards the relationship and towards their spouse. So there is something that we should be able to incorporate into our relationships, and which is biblical and spiritual in its nature, the concept of repentance and forgiveness. If you have done something, you see, I used to be very observant on our streets, especially in Douala. There are times when you're driving and maybe somebody does something to you, maybe somebody kind of drives badly towards you, and you just raise the hand like that. You see, there is a way it quells down anger, but when the person stays you get so angry at times. Somebody will park a car and get out of it. It holds true in our marital relationships. If your spouse gets into a mess and then says, I am sorry for what I did, and you actually judge and see that there are fruit of repentance in what the person have done, you should not also pull the thing by and large. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. The person has said he is sorry, and you judge and see that the person is really sorry and is trying to do, you help the person to recover from it. There are people whose in fact they do worse than they did, because after they did it, the way their spouse came across was so, in fact, it was rude. The person said, okay, I've done it, and if this is how you want to come about, I will do it more, so that the hell can reign. But if we have this factor of repentance and forgiveness as key factors or key concepts in our marriages, it's going to help a lot. If the person says he's sorry, you too from your own angle forgive. There are times you even forgive for your own sake, because you are the first beneficiary of forgiveness. When you forgive without the person necessarily asking for forgiveness, it is going to also maybe throw a kind of weight on the person to say, but I did this thing and I expected this lady will even just pack her things and leave, but now she has said, okay, she has forgiven me, next time I should surely toe the line. These two concepts are concepts that are going to be very helpful for people to live their marital relationships well. But the aspect of expecting and not culturing your expectations towards your spouse will keep putting pressure on your marriage. When your spouse is doing a certain degree, is putting a certain effort in your relationship, at least applaud the effort. Don't just be asking but more and become Oliver Twist. Applaud the effort of what the person has done before you encourage the person that the person can do more than what the person is doing. This is one of the things that will help. I have a little worry with one of the things that the concepts that we had in this our topic, Mr. Leo, the issue of talking about how to coping with This is something we should avoid, living with a man or a woman who will be coping with us, but coping. Try as much as possible. The aspects that you think these are weaknesses in your life, be working. Let the person be seeing that at least yesterday it was this bad and today it is better. If the person sees that at least you are putting some conscious effort into becoming better, at least it is going to encourage the person also to overlook certain things. But if it is like by the day you are the same, or by the day you are rather getting worse, the person will think there is a deliberate intention or deliberate action to hurt him or her, and then the person that will also begin to defend himself or take a kind of mechanism. There are people who were bringing all their revenues to the table until they discover that they brought it. I mean, women, they brought it and their husband took all the money and was chasing other women who say, if that is the case, going forward, I don't bring my money again to the table. At that level, you see that this is a reaction. It's not that the woman is acting, she's reacting to a situation that obtains in that relationship, and it touches other aspects of the relationship, not only finances. So we should go beyond this aspect of taking the leniency, the goodness, the phlegmatic nature of some of our spouses for granted. When you take it for granted, the person will will accommodate your mess for the length of time they will accommodate. But at a certain point in time, they will say no, an end is going to be put to this. And the interpretation that this man has changed, he has become wicked. This woman has changed, has become of which we are the ones that have cultured the person. We are the ones that have provoked the person to behave the way the person is behaving. So we should help one another to make this marriage thing to be worth living. To learn on what I'm saying, I want to repeat what we've said, that marriage is work, and it has to be the work from both ends. Nobody is supposed to leave the other person to be dying under the weight of working for the relationship, while you think that that woman is supposed to be working, she's the one who is supposed to learn, and then the man is a King Kong, or the woman thinks that the man is supposed to wallow in labor and misery for the relationship or for the marriage, while her own money is for for her human hair and some other things. Or when there is a situation in the home, she thinks the man is the one who is supposed to make things to work. No, it's supposed to be joint effort. Collaboration is very important.
Okay, collaboration is very important. Apostle Ambi, Valentine Gua, one last word to those who are watching us on this very important topic. He says forgiveness, repentance. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Liu. Perfection is ascribed only to God Almighty. They came to Jesus and said, "Good teacher." He said, "Why callest thou me good? Only one man is good, that is God." In other words, they said to him, "Perfect master." He said, "Why call me perfect? Only one man is perfect, and the person is God." So the perfectionist mentality is a very dangerous mentality. You will never find such a person on the planet Earth, except you vacate this earth, before you will find one perfect person, and that person is God. So with the mentality you are entering to marriage, you are entering to meet certain disadvantages. Be prepared. If you are not prepared in confronting anything, it will take you by storm. I think people sometimes die because what they confront they never prepared for. But sometimes when you prepare your system to confront certain things, you have that shock absorber that when it comes. I have a book, The Winning Couple. I said we over expect from our individuals, from our partners. Over expectation is what kills marriages. You get married to a woman, she says she has master's degree. She has master's degree in women and gender studies. She does not have master's degree in behavior. She does not have master's degree in attitude. You see, you have a man that has PhD in economics. He has PhD in economics. He does not have PhD in marriage. We juxtapose educational ability for marital prowess. We juxtapose academic prowess for social interaction. There are people who are very, very smart academically, but socially they are zero. Like I said, people operate in the area of their strength. Most of the times we believe that when somebody is educated, he's educated in every area. No, you are educated in an area. So if you want to see the best of your spouse, give him an exam in that area that he has master's degree. Don't go and think that he will solve a problem out of that specialty because he's caught high marks in that area. Don't misinterpret educational stand for social stability and social interaction. Okay. It is an error. There are people who have PhD in physics. They don't know how to make colors on their body. They will wear green and purple. that is not their area of specialty, so don't blame them. Somebody can have a PhD in nuclear chemistry and doesn't know how to put his tie. That has nothing to do with his field of operation. Somebody can have a PhD in English language, speaks sound English, but they don't know how to address a woman and talk to her gently. It's not romantic. Please do not misinterpret somebody's academic stability for his social status.
Okay. Lee Prince Dick says, find your imperfects and make him or her perfect according to your taste. Gerard Chick says, you guys doing great. Good evening to you. Chu Yeke Destiny. Mugo Sonia says, a very educative program, Mr. Liu. To me, there is no perfect husband or wife on earth again, but we just need to respect one another for our relationship to be near perfection, and above all, we should depend on God. Yeah. Onila Jaika says this program is very interesting. Watching live from Douala. Lawrence Andogibi, watching live from Boya. Single life is the best. That is what he thinks. Taku Wemgong says powerful topic. I like it. Fortune Loy says watching from Chang. Angwi Enjek Ella says the program is just the best. Thank you, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists watching from Yaoundé. Galabe Christabel says, good evening, sir. I am really enjoying the program. Thanks so much. Very educative talks. Banta Jude, very interesting topic, Mr. Leo, watching live from Jakiri. Mbi Alain says, for me, there is no perfect person on partner. We are all trying to be perfect. Samuela prays, there is no perfect man or woman on earth. Nice topic. Okay, watching from Yaoundé. Foba Hussein says, nice program, watching from Ekondo Titi, Indian Division, Cameroon. Patem, good evening to you. Nande Edwin Day, good evening to you. Moka Kemboa, very educative topic, Mr. Liu. Watching from Yaoundé. Nguge Pelagie, good evening. Belanzi is watching from Douala. El Blazo Ungafi says, I concur with that because marriage is getting into the unknown. Watching from Yaoundé. Ayuni Lucien New Kigan says, okay. Watching from Douala, New Bell. Good evening to Edmond Koyu Banseka says, very interesting program. It's Machiavellistic says, awesome. Mary Johnson, good evening to you. Perfectly said. Watching from Limbe. Tata Diodune, very correct, sir. There is nothing like a perfect person. Everyone has his or her own weakness. Okay. Linda B, good evening to you. Princess Estelle, watching from Bamenda. Kusheka Diodune, good evening to you. Awun Immaculate, thank you for this topic, Mr. Liu. I really appreciate you all in the studio. Franklin Eduardo says, watching from Holy Hills of Sin North Office, Boya, very educative program. Teka Daniel, good evening to you. Jumbuin Luprofi, Mebune Barbara Ebude, good evening to you. Kongi Janet, good evening to you. Achu Judith, good evening to you, and to you, Sylvia. Good evening to all of you who took time off to watch this edition of Prime R, and to the production team, we say we are very grateful. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.